All right. Welcome to the wrestling angle for my second show of today. Um, I did a show earlier where I was going through my some of my favorite ESW matches. You can check that out on here on Twitch, and then you can also check it out on Facebook. I won't post shows like that to YouTube because I've already got one strike against me with showing a video that was copyrighted by the WWE, and I don't want to get in trouble and lose my YouTube page. So, but tonight's show is broadcasting to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and we are here to talk about AEW Dynamite and basically the fallout from Revolution. We got an appearance by Christian Cage. He didn't really talk like he said he was going to do. We got a TNT Championship with Darby Allin. He defended the face of the Revolution ladder match, Scorpio Sky. We got the Inner Circle, the War Council. That took place at the end of the show. Matt Jackson and Ray Phoenix started off the show in a singles match. Sting spoke about the street fight with him and Darby Allin going up against Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks. We got a six-woman, I should say, not six-man, six-woman tag team match with Shida. She teamed up with Ryo Mitsusumi and Thunder Rosa against Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, and Macchiato. And we got Cody Rhodes in action tonight. So, pretty good show. They did a nice job explaining the botch with the ring exploding on Sunday. They basically blamed it entirely on Kenny Omega, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So let's talk about the first match. We had Ray Phoenix with Pac went up against Matt Jackson with Nick Jackson. This match was a great way to start off the show. I'm sorry, Ray Phoenix is probably one of the best, if not the best, luchador in the game today. This guy does phenomenal stuff, and his matches are not the same every time. And combine that with Matt Jackson and his maneuvers. He doesn't generally wrestle singles, which Excalibur actually mentioned that on commentary tonight, and he said that he's maybe called a handful of Matt Jackson matches as a single. I know for a fact that both Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson took part in a BOLA, which is PWG's tournament that they have every year. So, and I believe I have that on DVD also as well. So, like I said, this was a great match. A lot of back and forth action, a lot of high flying, a lot of not a lot of rest holds in this match at all. And but Ray Phoenix ended up coming out the victor, and he beat Matt Jackson. So Ray Phoenix and Pac, they won the Battle Royal on Sunday, so they're guaranteed a title shot against the Jackson brothers. So that's probably going to take place on either a Dynamite or possibly at the next pay-per-view in May. So we'll see how that plays out. So then we get, they were hyping up the fact that Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley were going to speak. They actually didn't speak to the live crowd. They spoke on a little vignette. Basically, Eddie Kingston saying that if you want to go ahead and make fun of me laying on Moxley, I thought the ring was going to blow up. They basically called out Kenny Omega for constructing basically a piece of crap ring that didn't blow up. They made fun of the sparklers and all that kind of stuff. So it looks like that the Kenny Omega Jon Moxley feud is going to continue. That's what it looks like. But as you'll see later on in the card, we may have a little bit of an interesting niche to that, or a little audible to that. So that was that. Next up, we got Cody Rhodes with Arn Anderson. He went up against Seth Gargis. I've never even heard of this guy. He's 0-2, I guess, in AEW. I would imagine he's wrestled on Dark, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. If the women aren't wrestling on Dark, I really don't watch it, because basically it's all tag team matches. It reminds me a lot of New Japan. Like the New Japan Cup right now, there's a lot of 6-man and 8-man tag matches mixed in with the cup matches for the New Japan Cup. So Dark has a lot of tag team matches on it. So I haven't been watching Dark regularly. I really should be, because to what I hear, they've been having some really good matches on there. So, and then it's going to be difficult too now, because they announced that the AEW Dark, the new AEW Dark is going to be taking place on Monday at 7 o'clock. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-hour show or if it's going to be just a 1-hour show. So it's something to watch watch to lead into Raw. That's probably how I'm going to watch it. But I'd be interested to see. That show's going to be hosted by Tony Schiavone and Paul White, formerly known as The Big Show. So this match didn't take long at all. He basically squashed Seth Gargis. Got to the point where Tony Schiavone came out and he was getting ready to interview Cody, and Penta was at the Spanish commentary booth, which I think is funny that it is a little bit farther from the ring than the actual commentary booth. But he was there, and he got, I can't think of his name. It's the guy that does the pre-shows for AEW. Anyways, he got him to translate, and basically told Cody that he was going to break Cody's arm so he couldn't hold his baby girl. That enraged Cody, and he jumped the rail, and a melee broke out. So I don't actually think they touched each other. I think the security and the backstage guys and all the guys that basically wrestle on Dark got in the middle before they even got near each other. So looks like we're gonna have a Cody Penta feud going on, which is I like that, because Penta made his return at Revolution on Sunday, and he did a pretty sick Canadian destroyer on the guardrail with Cody in it. And you know what? That move didn't really need to take place. But it added effect to the match, and so we got a feud going with them now. So, really looking forward to that. These two guys can really go. Plus, it gets Cody out of the title picture, the TNT title picture, and gives him somebody to feud with. And I don't think they've ever wrestled. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out on TV. Next up, we got Chuck Taylor with Orange Cassidy. They cut a promo where they're in an arcade. Chuck asked Miro for one more match and added a stipulation that if they lose, Chuck goes back to being Miro's butler forever. They then added the stipulation with lots of video game machinery at ringside. So there's going to be, look like there's going to be arcade games that are going to be set up at ringside. That goes back to Chuck destroying Kip's wedding present from Miro, which was a standing arcade machine. Next up, we got Ethan Page versus Lee Johnson with QT Marshall. I talked about this afternoon, that they were going to continue to push the fact that QT Marshall is going to be no longer part of the Nightmare family, and they did that exactly tonight. It was something that went on a little funky during this match. They were having technical difficulties, and there was some type of music playing in the background. And you couldn't really hear the announcers. You couldn't really hear Ethan Page's music when he came out, which is a shame, because that's basically a first impression to the fans that don't know who he is. But you know, the fans that don't know who he is, you guys have got to be living under a rock, because this guy is a star, and he's going to be a star for AEW. So I'm really glad he decided to go to AEW and not NXT, because I don't think WWE would know what to do with Ethan Page, and I think he would just get lost in the shuffle to what they have in NXT now. So Ethan Page ended up defeating Lee Johnson, and after the match, Ethan Page started attacking Lee Johnson, and QT Marshall was still at ringside, just basically looking on. All of a sudden, Dustin Rhodes hits the ring, basically runs off Ethan Page, and he looks over at QT Marshall and he says, you know, what the hell are you doing? And all of a sudden, QT walks away. So looks like we're going to probably have a feud with QT with either Dustin or Lee Johnson. So I personally hope that it's Lee Johnson, because this could elevate this kid up the card, just like his tag team match that he had with Cody. QT is a great wrestler, and those of you that haven't seen his documentary on Amazon Prime, go watch this. It is phenomenal. They talk about his personal life, they talk about his journey to be a pro wrestler, how long he's been in wrestling, the training school that he was at, the guys that he was training, and all that good stuff. And all that good stuff that they generally add into a documentary to make it good. So go and watch that. That's on Amazon Prime. Next up, we got a pretty funny segment. Alex Marvez is out in the back of the building. It took place earlier in the day because it was daytime, and he was looking around for Adam Page, and Hangman pulls up in a one of I don't know what they call those lawnmowers, but the lawnmowers with the two handles, and he starts talking about what he has purchased with Matt Hardy's money. He purchased whiskey, a new saddle, lots of vinyl music, which he donated, and a new lawnmower. And then all the Dark Order shows up. They all get on the lawnmower except for Alan Angels, and they said they're going to get ice cream. And the funny part of the segment is that two of the bigger guys, meaning Uno and Alex Reynolds, were on the back of it, and the thing almost did a wheelie and tipped over. So that was pretty funny. Then we got Tony Schiavone came out and he was getting ready to introduce Christian Cage, and then all of a sudden Kenny Omega's cleaners come out with the sweepers, and they basically interrupt the segment. And then Don Callis and Kenny Omega come out, and the Good Brothers come out, and basically this was another way for them to talk about the screwed up finish to the death match. This is gonna be this will be the last night that I talk about this. I did enough going off about it on Sunday, and talked a little bit about it today. I've had a couple days to cool down and thought a little bit more about how the match was, how it took place, and what actually happened. And I mentioned today on my morning show that Bully Ray said a comment on Busted Open that he got from Vince McMahon, and Vince McMahon used to always say the only thing they're going to remember is the finish. And we know the finish was botched, and I think, to be perfectly honest with you, I think AEW made up for it, basically putting it all on Kenny Omega, basically saying, or Don Callis saying, that him and Omega have taken a lot of heat this week for the botched match, and he doesn't think that that's right. Basically, they started picking fun of Eddie Kingston, and then all of a sudden Eddie Kingston comes out, and they're making fun of him. They call him an idiot. He said Kingston's heroism made both those guys look like complete idiots, and when the explosion didn't go off. Basically, Omega is taunting Eddie Kingston to hit him, and then all of a sudden Kingston hauls off and punches him. And Kenny Omega goes down. The Good Brothers, Don Callis, and Kenny Omega are attacking Eddie Kingston, and then Moxley comes out. And Moxley basically makes the save. The ring clears, and all of a sudden Christian Cage's music hits. He comes out. There was nothing really said between the two of them, There were no punches or anything exchanged. Christian basically came out and oh, wait a minute. Yes, there was some exchanges. Christian went to go hit Kenny Omega with the Unprettier, and Don Callis pulled Kenny Omega out of the ring. With the AEW title belt still in there, and then Christian picks up the title belt, holds it up in the air, drops it to the ground, and that is basically the end of the segment. So it looks like that either Christian is going to be in a match with Omega, or he's going to be added to this feud. Probably, I would think that you're probably going to see a 6-man tag team match with Omega and the Good Brothers versus Kingston, Moxley, and Christian. So I would think that's probably going to take place in the next couple weeks. They got a long time to build up for the pay-per-view that's coming up in May. That's the nice thing about AEW is they spread their pay-per-views out. They don't have them every month like WWE. And so that was the end of that segment. And like I said, they did a nice job explaining about the finish on Sunday. And I had called it today that they were going to use it they were going to put it into the storyline. So, which is what they did. So, hopefully people can get past this, and WWE has done enough bad stuff in the past, and people still watch the product. I think to say that people are going to stop watching AEW because of this thing that took place on Sunday, I think that's stupid. If you're a wrestling fan, you're gonna watch the show that you like, and right now, AEW is pretty much the hot show. So, I didn't get a chance to watch NXT tonight. I'm gonna do an NXT review tomorrow at noon, and we can talk about NXT then. So I'm gonna watch it after I get off the show tonight. So next up, we got the 6-person tag team match with Hikaru Shida, Ryo Mitsunumi, and Thunder Rosa versus Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero, Dr. Britt Baker, and Amiki Itoh. You know what? I'll be perfectly honest with you. This, I didn't really watch this match. I did see the ending, where Britt Baker basically put Thunder Rosa in the lockjaw. It said that it doesn't say here who won it. So it probably ended in a disqualification, I would imagine. But she did get Thunder Rosa in the lockjaw, and Rebel hit Thunder Rosa with the crutch too. So we go in the back and we get a vignette with Matt Hardy, who is sitting there with Private Party, and Private Party basically says that they're disappointed with what happened during the match. They want to know if Matt is okay, and is he going to have enough money to fund his empire. He then introduces the newest additions to the team, which is the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out, whether the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny are going to be hired guns. I would imagine they're going to be. They were previously with Eddie Kingston, but it looks like Eddie Kingston's going to be turning face. And they want to keep Butcher and the Blade. heels. So, which, by the way, on a side note, uh, there is a store in the Walden Galleria Mall up here in Western New York that has a huge sign that says Buffalo Kids on it. And it has the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny on it. So I think that's pretty cool. And these three are homegrown talents. They've wrestled for ESW, 2CW. They've wrestled in Rochester. They've wrestled, all over the place. Pepper Parks, who is the Blade, he's had tryout matches with WWE. The Bunny, who is Allie, has wrestled for TNA, and now she's in AEW. And the Butcher, he is in a rock band, and he also is a wrestler. So he's a homegrown talent. I've only seen him wrestle in ESW, but I know he has wrestled in some other indies. So real happy for those three. They're finally getting the recognition, and it's good to see that Buffalo is getting a little bit of recognition too. We don't get a lot of recognition. We're mostly known for the 4 Super Bowls that the Bills lost in a row, and our crappy weather, and all the crime and all that crap that goes on around here. So, to be perfectly honest with you, there's more crime in Niagara Falls than there is in Buffalo. So, that is what it is. So, next up we got the TNT Championship with Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky. This match was phenomenal. They really put on a good match, back and forth. Darby Allin ended up defeating Scorpio Sky with a roll-up, and after the match, he went to go over to shake Scorpio's hand and basically slapped him on the back, walked away, and Scorpio double-legged him and put him in the what did they call that? The heel lock, or the heel hook. So that looks like that's going to be Scorpio Sky's new finishing maneuver. And Sky, they made a note. The announcers made a note that Scorpio Sky didn't go back to the back, the same tunnel that he came out in, and he came out the babyface tunnel, and then he left in the heel tunnel. So, which, by the way, you know what? Kind of like on a side note here about those tunnels, they really should think about either relocating the hard camera or getting rid of those tunnels, because something funky happened on the pay-per-view on Sunday where we could see Cody basically getting worked on in a tunnel. I don't know if that was meant to be that way or not, but if I was Tony Khan, I would either redesign your stage and have the hard camera just shoot directly on the stage without having the two things on the side. It was cool to begin with, but when you're gonna see things go on that you're not supposed to see, it kind of adds to the when you don't see what's going on in the back, it kind of adds to the mystery to what is professional wrestling. So that's just my opinion. They probably won't get rid of it, but it is what it is. But like I said, this was a really good match. a lot of back and forth action, and we finally got Scorpio Sky turning heel, and I think eventually down the road he's going to get that TNT championship, even though Darby Allin did pin him clean. They talked about the next week's show is going to be called AEW Dynamite St. Patrick's Day Slam. We're going to get Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Good Brothers. That should be a really good match. We're going to get Cody Rhodes versus Penta. We talked about that earlier. Jurassic Park and Bear Country versus Matt Hardy, Private Party, and The Butcher and the Blade. Jade Cargill is going to be in action. I would imagine that's probably going to be a squash match. And then we're going to get a unsanctioned Anything Goes match with Dr. Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. So that looks like to be a pretty good card. Next up, what they've been promoting through the entire show, Inner Circle's War Council. So we get the whole group coming out to Chris Jericho's music. So we get Chris Jericho, MJF, Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz. No Wardlow, which I thought was kind of unusual, considering he is MJF's bodyguard. Jericho basically says that they need to make some changes, and Jericho says that maybe we need to add a new member. MJF basically cuts him off and says that instead of adding a new member, I think we need to let somebody go. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Guevara's music hits. We finally get Sammy coming back, and this is going to benefit everybody on the show. So he comes into the ring and he basically says that he has something to show Chris Jericho. He set up a camera in the locker room, fast forwarded it to a part where in that the locker room was Jake Hager, Santana Ortiz, and then MJF walks in. And he says to them, basically, we need to drop the extra baggage and get rid of Chris Jericho. So then they tease the fact that the Inner Circle is going to turn on Jericho, and as they're walking up to Jericho, they stop, and then they all turn, and we got the entire original Inner Circle, Santana Ortiz, Jericho, Guevara, and Hager, and they're basically threatening to beat up MJF. And then the lights went out. MJF says that he started his own group. The lights went out, came back on. All of a sudden, FTR, Tully Blanchard, Shawn Spears, and Wardlow are in the ring, and they basically lay out Jericho and the rest of the Inner Circle. So it looks like that we have a new faction that's going to be taking place. The only thing I don't like about this is that I really thought we were going to get a reformation of a younger version of the Horsemen with FTR, Tully Blanchard, and Shawn Spears. And it doesn't look like they're going to go that way right now. So the ending of the show came when Wardlow basically powerbombed Chris Jericho off the stage, and the camera was showing Jericho busted open through tables off the stage. So All in all, a pretty good show. They did a nice job explaining the botched finish in the death match. We got Scorpio Sky turning heel. We got Eddie Kingston is now a babyface. We got the Blade and the Bunny and the Butcher. They're now part of Matt Hardy's group. And then we also got MJF, FTR, Wardlow, and Shawn Spears along with Tully Blanchard. So we've basically got two new factions and a babyface and a heel turn. So all in all, a very good show coming off the pay-per-view. I didn't really know what to expect and how they were going to explain things, but like a good wrestling show, they basically explained it very well. So that is going to be my show for tonight. I am going to be back tomorrow at noon to review NXT and just a preview to what it looked like. Let's see. Alright, basically the two big matches that took place on NXT tonight were Adam Cole versus Finn Balor for the NXT World Championship. And then we had the NXT Women's Championship with hold on one second. I keep calling her Sheeta, and it's not Sheeta. It's Io Shirai versus Toni Storm. So I will be back tomorrow at noon to review that show and talk about all the news coming out of both these shows. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining me for my second show today. You can check this show out on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And you can check me out on Twitter, ECW, the number 4LFE, that's ECW for life. And also check me out on Instagram, ECW, the number 4LFE, ECW for life. So, everybody have a good night, and I will talk to everybody tomorrow at noon. Have a good night, guys.